welcome to another edition of Flea Market Fantasy, the world's second greatest Bronze Age era comic book podcast. Joining me as always is new Mike L, Kevin Jank.
I'm here, Mike Dell, and remember to always stay in drugs and don't do school.
That's exactly right. Words to live by.
Yep.
Yes, this is a very historically important comic book we're doing here today, Jank.
Yeah. Who
Why
would have
don't you,
thought?
why don't you tell the people what we're doing?
Today we're doing Amazing Spider-Man number 97.
From 1971, and
Yeah.
this was part of a three-issue arc that started with issue 96 and concluded with issue 98. But these three issues were not approved by the Comics Code Authority.
Ooh, they're
Yeah.
scandalous.
Yes, we'll get into the backstory of all that in a
It was probably
minute.
that guy's mustache. They're like, nope, Comics Code Authority will not approve that guy's mustache.
The drug dealer.
Yep.
He's
The
he's
Geraldo looking guy, like blonde Geraldo.
he's just billed as Harry's dealer. That's his name. I don't know. We'll get into that. But before we do all that, let's remind everybody if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. We're holding steady at 394, Jank.
Oh, we had
Remember
that
last week?
surge last week, and
Yes,
yeah.
we picked up like 9 people, and then you said, "Oh, we probably won't get any next week." And sure enough,
Yep.
didn't get a single one.
The
So
universe has a way of balancing itself out.
yes, and because again, the goal is 500 subscribers, and if we get to 500, Jank is going to make me read The Dark Knight.
Oh,
So that's what
what a glorious day that'll
we're
be.
trying to do here. But yeah, not too many people are reading the Superman that we did last week with the Phantom quarterback. You know?
They're missing out because that
Yeah,
was a good one. I bet
but
if we would have done the one with the four thumbs
yes,
people, like they
that's
would
why I
have
wanted to.
definitely.
I wanted to give you an update on that. I did look ahead to that issue, and because I wanted to see how do they have four thumbs exactly,
Yeah.
and
Where do they go?
uh, yes. So what they do, they just have normal hands, but instead of a pinky, they have a thumb. So they have three fingers and two thumbs.
Oh, okay.
And what they
Interesting.
and they just look like normal people except for the four thumbs.
One, one's a lot
And they
better.
wear like little
Shorter.
white gloves a lot to like people don't notice that the one is a thumb. And then they take the gloves off, and what they do is they touch their thumbs together on each hand. So you got the three fingers sticking up and the two thumbs touching each other, and that allows them to shoot like an energy blast out of their hands.
Okay.
And they wrecked Superman with those energy blasts. They really,
Wow.
yeah, they took him out. He was having
I
some
might have to go to a
problems.
plastic surgeon and get my pinky replaced with a thumb.
I would
If I can
like
shoot laser blast, then.
I would like another thumb, please. Yeah. So yeah, that's the. I just wanted to fill in that story there.
Holy hell, that's more of a menace than I thought they would be.
Yeah. So there you go. All right. Also, I have a book out there called Monkey Flip about a chimp detective. He has no opposable thumbs.
Oh,
Yes, yeah. He's a chimp,
so he would definitely lose to those guys. He would have
probably.
no chance.
So, all right, Amazing Spider-Man issue 97. So the United States Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, they approached Stan Lee in Marvel Comics and they said, "Hey, how about doing a story on drug abuse?" You know? And Stan Lee said, "Yeah, sounds like a good idea. I'll do that." So he wrote this three-story arc
I've
there.
been writing this book for a long time. I'm running out of ideas anyway, so yeah, I'll
Yeah,
take
why
anything.
not? Let's do that. So in the story, Harry Osborn, the son of Norman Osborn, who we'll talk about here in a second, he gets hooked on the pills.
Yeah, it happens quickly.
So
Well,
a real pill
it doesn't.
popper. It's Norman, it's Harry. So the Comics Code Authority, they refused to approve the issue because of the drugs. Because they had a rule that you can't depict drugs. They had a lot of
Yep.
rules. This is 1971. They had a lot. They also had a rule about
Yeah.
vampires and werewolves and all kind of things.
Yeah, you couldn't use the words vampires or werewolves, or
Yeah.
that's why
Marv,
Morbius had to like drink plasma, which is different than blood.
there was a problem with Marv Wolfman back in the day because like they were crediting the book to a Wolfman and they're like, "Hey, wait a minute, you can't do that." No, it's his name. His name's Marv Wolfman. What do you want to do? But
That is
anyway,
weird that like this government agency comes to Stanley and is like, "Hey, write this book for us," and then he writes the book, and the other government agency is like, "No, no, you can't do that."
Well, I don't know. Were the Comics Code Authority really a government? I don't even know what they were exactly. I should
I
have looked
don't
that up.
know. Yeah, that's a good question. I
I think
thought
they
they
were
kind
just
of
a
spun
bunch
out
of
of those
do-gooders.
Senate hearings in the 50s
Yeah.
or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, that is right. They did have all the problems there in the 50s. But so Stan Lee thought that because he had the approval of the United States Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, that he's like, oh well, we'll probably be golden then with the Comic Code Authority. But nope.
Yeah.
But he said, well, you know what we're going to do? We're just going to publish the books without your little code on the covers. That's what we're going to
Yeah.
do, and that's
Which
what he
turns
did.
out doesn't really affect anyone. No one
No.
cares.
So here's what happened: is that the books were so successful and popular that then the Comics Code Authority said, "All right, we'll change our rules." So they changed the rules, and so you can't depict drugs. It has to be depicted as quote a vicious habit, unquote. So you can't do anything to glorify drugs.
Ooh, yeah. So they had to
Yeah.
take out all those issues of Speedy from Green Lantern having a great time on drugs.
Well, here's the thing:
I'm getting so much crime fighting done.
when, when
I'm super
Stan Lee
effective.
when Stan Lee defied the Comics Code, Carmine Infantino, who was the DC editor in chief and publisher at the time, I think, he uh, he spoke out against. He said, "This is wrong. You should not be doing this, Stan Lee." And then when
Oh.
Stan Lee did it, and they made very popular, and the Comics Code Authority changed their code, well, right away, Carmine Infantino said, "All right, let's cash in on this," and that's when they did the Green Lantern / Green Arrow issue with Speedy hooked on smack. He was on the heroin. And
Oh, nice morals you got there, Carmen
yeah,
Infant. You know?
well, he said he wasn't gonna break the rules. So when they changed the rules, then he did it. He allowed it. But I think it was more that money was made, and he's
Yeah,
like, "Oh,
exactly.
let's do that." But Mike L and I did that issue with Speedy on the heroin
Yeah.
back years ago. Um,
I mean, it is one of those things where it's like, yeah, you probably should address this at some point, especially in a book where
yeah,
you're constantly fighting crime. Like, obviously, drugs are going to be involved somewhere along the line. Even if
yeah.
it's not people directly doing them, it's people, the mafia selling drugs.
Yeah, so these issues came out May, June, and July of 71, and then the Green Lantern, Green Arrow, issue 85 with Speedy came out in September of 71. Now,
Wow, that was quick.
yeah. But there was an issue in 1967. There's a Dead Man story in Strange Adventures issue 205 that depicted an opium addiction. Someone had an opium addiction,
Oh,
and
okay.
that got through because the guy, like the main guy in charge of the Comics Code Authority, he said it wasn't depicting drugs in a good way. It was making it so he allowed it to go. But by the time the Spider-Man stories came around, that guy was actually ill. He had fallen
He
sick.
was on drugs,
Yeah, he
ironically
probably
enough.
was on the smack. So he wasn't in charge at the time. Like he was on a leave of absence. So the guy taking over for him was a real hard ass apparently.
Oh,
And he said, "No, we're not going to approve those stories." And but I'm guessing the fact that they weren't approved by the Comics Code, I'm sure Marvel played that up, and they sold probably a ton of books because of that.
yeah. Yeah, I would think so.
Um,
Even though when you read this, it's like, yeah, this is pretty tame. Like,
yeah, there's nothing
yeah.
because like growing up, like I was a child of the '80s, and every day on TV there's anti-drug stuff, So it was
Yeah.
like this is pretty common. But yeah, this was groundbreaking in '71. So
Yeah, this is your typical after school special, but
yeah,
apparently, yeah,
exactly.
breaking new
Yes,
ground in 71.
a very special edition of Amazing Spider-Man. So the villain here, the reason why you picked the issue though was because of the
Hmm.
villain. Because we try to cover all the great villains in comic book history. And dude, I
Slowly but
today
surely.
I was trying to because I had to pick an issue, for next week, and I always fail to do that properly. But I was searching for I found some IGN list of the top 100 comic book villains, and I'm like, oh, well, I'll just go down the list, and the first big villain we haven't done, maybe we'll pick that issue.
Oh,
Their
that's
number
good.
one was Magneto, which
Sure.
seems well, that seems I don't know if he's number one.
Yeah, I would agree. I almost like Magneto more when he's a hero, to be
That's what I was going to
honest.
say. He was a hero.
Yeah.
To be a true villain, you have to be a villain 100% of the time. You can't be a
Yeah.
hero sometimes. So yeah,
Yep.
Magneto would not be my number one. And then number two was Joker. Fair enough. And
Yep.
then I think number three may have been Doctor Doom, which again solid, and then Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
But then
Although
the
he
list,
is,
like,
Doctor Doom has been a good guy more times than you would think.
I suppose.
He
Yeah.
has flip-flopped.
But yeah, like he has his own code of ethics, that Doom. He kind
Yeah.
of, yeah. But then the list kind of went off the rails, and like Thanos was number 47.
Ooh. Wow.
Like
Still
guy,
man was ahead of
yeah,
Thanos.
like guys like Captain Cold and stuff were like way higher than Thanos. Like, what are we doing? This list is
Uh,
terrible. So I
yeah.
just gave up on the list then. I don't
Well,
think
to
we've
be fair,
ever,
I think Captain Cold is cool. I haven't read a lot of
but
his
better
stuff,
than
but
Thanos. Come on, what are
yeah,
we
that's
doing?
that's kind of ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, just like ridiculous villains were up high, and I'm trying to think what else. But like, I don't think we've ever done an Ultron issue.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's crazy. We've been slacking on a lot of these big villains.
Maybe we should do
But we did the
Ultron at some
Rainbow
point.
Raider. That's the important
Yes,
part.
and Mr. Fish.
Yep.
So, uh, they were both absent from the Tough 100, sadly. But anyway, so we'll get into the villains again later. But the reason you picked this one is because of the Green Goblin.
That's right. Yeah,
Even though,
very narrow set of choices we have for the Bronze Age when it comes to the original Green Goblin, anyway. Because Norman Osborn, the Green Goblin, was kind of out of the book there for a while since about issue Amazing Spider-Man number 40. I think was his kind of last appearance, and then until number 96 when he pops back up again. um, because they did the whole story. There was that two-part storyline where he finds out who Peter Parker is, finds out that he's Spider-Man, and he unmasks himself to him as well. And they have the big fight, and Norman Osborn somehow gets knocked into like electrical machinery or something, and it explodes and causes him to lose all memory of ever being the Green Goblin conveniently,
yeah,
and Peter Parker's identity. So he's just kind of back to being normal Norman Osborn.
I like that
Although I
though.
don't know how he doesn't realize that he has superpowers. Like, does that go along with the amnesia? Like, also you don't have the super strength.
Yeah, because the Goblin Serum. Um, but was he? Because the Goblin Serum at first he just got splashed in the face with it or something, so it wasn't. But then he did drink it then, right? So
Yeah.
did yeah. So I don't. But anyway, all right. So Green Goblin Norman Osborn his first appearance, Amazing Spider-Man issue 14,
Yeah.
1964, created by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. And when I think he's the greatest Spider-Man villain is the Green Goblin, that's number one. He's
Yep.
number one. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally. For me, yeah, 100%. I know some people will try to be like Dr. Octopus, but
No,
Dr.
that's
Octopus can go
ridiculous.
screw.
No,
Yeah.
Dr.
Green
Octopus
Goblin's
kill
way
Gwen
better.
Stacy? I don't think
Yeah.
so. So,
Norman
um,
Osborn's been behind like basically everything terrible that's happened to Peter.
yeah. So back in the day, Steve Ditko, Ditko and Lee kind of don't agree on how the character's created. But
Yeah.
Stan Lee says, "Ah, my memory's not the best, so whatever." But Ditko said that Stan Lee's original idea was to have like a Hollywood film crew filming in Egypt or something, and they uncover this sarcophagus, and it unleashes the Green Goblin, this mystical being, kind of.
Oh.
And
So it'd be
Ditko,
almost like a Impossible Man or Mr. Mixelplick or something. Just some
so
weird.
yeah, but Ditko said it was his idea to make him an actual human,
Oh, okay.
and
That was a good
so
idea.
yeah, that is a good idea.
Yeah,
And
I like that.
but then there's Lee says that Ditko wanted to make because they wanted to keep the identity of the Green Goblin a mystery
Yeah.
because
And
that
it
was a
was a
big
mystery
deal.
for a good while.
Yeah.
Even Norman Osborn hadn't even appeared in the book yet, so it wouldn't have made a difference if you showed his identity at that point. People were like, who's that? I don't know who
Yeah,
that
like
is.
because what Ditko like Ditko left the book and then like the next issue they revealed the Green Goblin, I think. Because Ditko he wanted it to just be according to Lee, Ditko wanted it to just be a stranger, someone Peter Parker didn't even know.
Oh,
Because
okay.
it would have been, he said it would be more like real life there. But then Ditko says, no, that's not true at all. He always wanted it to be Norman Osborn.
He wanted it to be Mr. A.
Yes. He said it was always going to be Norman Osborn in his mind. So, but I don't know. And then John Romita Sr. came in then afterward, and he said it was pretty obvious that it was going to be, if you were paying attention to the book, that it was going to be Norman Osborn. It really wasn't that big of a mystery.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's true.
but they did try to have a mystery going there. Who's going to
Well,
be
yeah,
it?
like I said, it was a mystery for a good while before you even knew who Norman Osborn was. So, yeah, that's
Yeah.
And this was like 30, like I said, I want to say that was 30, issue number 39 where they revealed that. So it was, I
It
don't
was
think
around there. I
Norm,
think 37, 38, something like that. Yeah,
yeah,
38.
somewhere in that range. So Norman Osborn had only been in the book for a couple issues before that, I want to say.
Yeah, but Ditko said that if you look in the background of one of the panels with the green, he drew like Norman Osborn, even before Norman Osborn
Oh,
was introduced into the book. Like,
nice. Little cornrows and everything.
yeah, 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 because their hair is always the Osborn family always have weird hair. It's
Yep.
like it's supposed to be curly, but it looks like it got like horizontal cornrows. Yes,
It's such a good look, but they've never been able to do it in live action. It's always just people with like dopey looking
because
hair that
people don't
doesn't.
have hair like that in
Yeah,
real life.
I know.
It was so
But it's how
strange
I
to.
recognize them from the comics. It's like that
Yes.
without that hair, they could be anybody.
So, but who was Norman Osborn? He was like like he is a rich guy, right?
Yeah, he was a real son of a bitch all along. But yeah, he was a rich like chemical manufacturer. He owned, Osborne Industries. It was like a chemical company. Um, and he had a wife and a son named Harry. I believe the wife left because he was, beating
Now,
the shit out of her.
now you don't
So
think the wife had the same kind of hair, right? Like she probably had different hair. But
let's hope for
yeah,
her sake. Yeah. So then it was just kind of Norman and Harry, and Norman was very focused on business, didn't have time for Harry. Was very, at least verbally abusive, if not physically abusive. I think there definitely was some physical abuse in there somewhere. And in recent years, they kind of went even further to reveal that before he even became the Green Goblin, Norman Osborn had basically made a deal with Mephisto for Harry's soul. Like, I'll give you my son's soul if you give me, make me super powerful type of deal. So, not a good dude,
yeah.
even back then.
Seems like a real jerk,
Yeah.
Norman Osborn.
But then I believe like his one of his scientists, like his partner in the business there, Mendel Strom, was working on something, and Norman Osborn kind of decided, hey, I'm going to steal this, and I think he was like tinkering around with the formula, and it blew up in his face, and that's what gave him his goblin powers, as well as a healthy dose of insanity.
Yeah, it was making him crazy. And again, eventually he discovered the formula that he could drink.
Yeah.
So when did he do that? Was that later, or was that maybe what turned him into it this time around, or no?
Uh, I don't know if he ever actually drank the other one. I think he just got it from that explosion. I
Huh.
know Harry would go on, and the Green and the Hobgoblin would also kind of tinker with things. I want to say he just had that initial one, at least back then. Maybe later on, like
Yeah,
after he
see,
returned in the '90s. But
a professional show would research this, but we're not very professional.
luckily, this is not that.
Yeah.
But yeah, then when Peter Parker got to college, he met Harry Osborn, and there was some, initial weirdness at first, but they quickly started becoming friends. And Harry, had a rich daddy who was giving him an apartment, and he was like, "Hey, I needed roommates." So Peter Parker was like, "Hey, I'll live with you." Like, cool. And so they started living together, and that's when Norman Osborn, the Green Goblin, kidnapped Peter Parker, or kidnapped Spider-Man, and unmasked him, found out who he was, and that's when he had the whole explosion and the memory loss. So the Green Goblin has kind of been buried inside Norman's mind for a good 50 issues or so at this point, when this issue picks up.
So, all right. So, Jank, you're telling me that before this issue or this arc, he was just Norman Osborn businessman, but something happened to make him Green Goblin again.
Yeah, basically, I think, they kind of realized, oh, if he knows who Peter is, this isn't good. Like, we have to kind of get rid of him. So we'll give him this amnesia thing. But then to kind of bring him back, they had to, like, come up with a reason. And this is kind of where the Harry drug stuff starts coming in, where Norman starts realizing that Harry's going down a bad path, and the stress of all that kind of causes his mind to snap back into the Green Goblin persona
Oh,
again.
okay. All right. Because
Yeah.
I kind of like the idea of Norman just forgetting that Peter, because you have that hanging over Peter's head the whole time,
Yeah.
like that's a
Yeah. You
constant
can't have
threat.
it constantly out there. Otherwise, it's just like, the Kingpin born again stuff where you're just like, this guy's life is never going to be right again.
Yeah, but the fact that he forgot, that is a threat in itself because at any moment he can
Yeah.
remember. So I like that.
Yep.
But
And
so
that's what
just
this
as
story kind of plays with. But this one is just kind of a tease for what comes with the death of Gwen Stacy, where it's like nothing really bad actually happens in this one when he gets his memories back. But the next time he gets them back, something's going to go down.
yeah, so the next time Gwen dies what, 121, I think.
Yeah.
And then Norman appears to die in issue 122
Yep.
because
He was, yep, believed to be dead for a good 20 some years.
Peter is very upset
He,
that Norman killed Gwen, so he
yeah.
goes out for revenge. He beats the hell out of him. But then he it's very much like the first Tobey Maguire movie.
Yep.
He stops himself before killing him, and he's like, "I got to get a hold of myself. I can't just kill him." But Norman has his little goblin glider that he rides around on,
Hmm.
remote controlled, and it's flying up behind Peter to stab him. And but Peter ducks out of the way because of the Spidey sense, and the glider goes right into Green Goblin's chest and pins him
Yeah.
up against a brick wall, and kills him, and then he collapses. Yeah.
Yep.
So how did they
Pretty cool.
explain that Norman was not dead then?
Well, first, I guess there was the whole Harry in his drug-like stupor ended up going to the morgue and kind of paying off the coroner to be like, "Hey, I don't want my, he found his dad's body, I think, in the alleyway, and like took the costume off and was like, hey, don't tell anybody about this." So he kind of paid off the coroner to keep it, under wraps that his dad was the Green Goblin. But turns out Norman Osborn woke up there in the old morgue there, and
He just woke up in the morgue.
basically the Goblin formula had given him like a healing factor. Um,
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so he was dead, I guess, for a couple of minutes there, but then it brought him back. It healed up the wound in his chest and brought him back. So he like went into the alleyway, killed a homeless guy that was about the same, size as him, basically, and then put that body in the morgue, and no one was the wiser.
No one was the wiser. He just happened to find a homeless guy in the hallway.
Yep, just about the same size. Yep,
Hey,
it worked
what
out
size pants are
nice.
you? Or, yeah, that'll work. That's good to
Yep.
hear. So, all right, that explains
So he
that.
spent the next 5 years in Europe just plotting against Peter the whole time, and he was the mastermind behind the whole clone saga. It turns out.
Oh no, that damn clone saga. But yeah, you think it's weird
Yeah,
that you think you want to get revenge right away, but no, he took 5 years in Europe to plot. You know. Yeah.
yeah. It's like European vacation.
Now, I guess he had access to his former money that he was able to live for 5 years in Europe,
Yeah, I guess he went to Europe partially because people wouldn't recognize him as much. Like he's more known in the States.
but he's
Uh,
legally dead in the
but yeah, he
States,
somehow
right?
did have. Yeah, yeah. Somehow he got his money. I'm not sure exactly they ever got into the
Did
finances.
did Harry know he was alive?
No, he did not.
Mhm.
Yeah. There was a thing where later on, after Harry died, and then after like Brand New Day happened, like, Peter Parker sold his marriage to Mephisto. Uh, like Harry came back and they were like, oh, he was also in Europe for 5 years. I was like, oh, what are we doing now?
This is terrible. This is all terrible.
But then
Yeah.
it turned out later on that was all bullshit. So,
So are you glad they brought? Because I got to tell you, I think I liked it better when Norman was just dead. But then Norman went on to do a bunch of stuff, though, right? Like he was the Thunderbolts and all
yeah.
that, right?
I'm very glad they brought him back. I think they did
Okay.
wait the right amount of time. Like they waited, over 20 years. So it actually felt like a real death there for a while, unlike a lot of deaths where it's just like, let's bring him back 3 months later. And so at least they gave it a good run. But I mean, he's the best Spider-Man villain. You can't leave him dead forever. That just wouldn't make sense. Like, especially when
Well, it
all of
would
his
make
like
sense
appearances were
because that's how
in the
death
first.
works. It would make
Well, yeah,
sense,
I
but
guess so.
yeah, what I mean.
But yeah, from a storytelling perspective, you want him to come back. It's like you don't want the Joker to die after like the first 10 years of
But you
Batman.
did
Like,
have Harry taking up the mantle of Green Goblin, though, right?
yes, you had many, many Green Goblins and Hobgoblins coming down the pipe over the years. Harry being the first to come after Norman. Then there was Harry's therapist, Bart Hamilton.
Bart Hamilton, that's a name.
Yeah. So there was a heroic Green Goblin during the Clone Saga, Phil Urich. Um, once Norman Osborn came back, there was some really good stuff. Like I said, he was the mastermind behind the whole Clone Saga thing. He basically like caused Mary Jane and Peter's baby to be stillborn, I think.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, there she was he had one of his agents like slip something into her tea at like the coffee shop they went to, and then they had the baby,
Wow.
and the baby, was dead. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's they never really got into that much though. Because then after that there was a whole thing where like, "Oh, that same agent is now like hiding something on a boat somewhere, and it's in a crib." You're like, "Oh, the baby's not really dead. Like they kept the baby alive. That's crazy." But then they named the baby May, or they were going to name the baby May after Aunt May, who had supposedly died at this point. Um, but then it turns out like this woman who was the agent, she got to Peter just as she was killed by someone else, and like she's like, "May is alive," and like, oh, Peter's like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna go get my daughter back." But then they're like, "Oh yeah, it wasn't her, it was actually Aunt May." Like the baby is
Oh,
dead, I guess. Like what? Why
that
was
damn
Norman
100-year
reeling
old
something
lady's still
out of
hanging
the?
around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why was she in a baby crib? And why was like Kane, the clone of Peter Parker, like carrying something like a football that is clearly not an old woman?
Do you think it was a pet monkey? Yeah, a little monkey.
That'd be
Pretty cool.
nice.
Yeah, Spider-Man, the whole clone saga thing. Like I seem to recall you didn't mind it. Is that right?
There's aspects of it I like, but overall it definitely went on too long and was too muddled, and there's a lot of characters and plot lines that went nowhere. But
Yeah.
I don't in general hate it. I don't hate all of it. Like Ben Riley is kind of a cool character. I didn't mind him.
Huh. Yeah.
And I like that better than let's have Peter make a deal with the devil to get rid of his marriage. Like
Yeah,
if you
that's
want to have just a single
that's the
Peter
worst.
Parker again, like I'd rather just have it be this blonde clone guy.
Yeah, that's the worst. That whole deal with the devil to get rid of him
Yeah,
to save it. That's absurd. All right, let's
yeah,
just
that's
pretend none of
dumb.
that happened. In my mind, Spider-Man ended like, you know, 1978. Somewhere around there.
But there was some really good stuff, like when he came back, like because
Uh,
he I think bought up the Daily Bugle right away. It was just making Peter's life miserable. So like there's all kind of stuff. He like framed Peter, Spider-Man for murder. Like he killed some low-level guy and had the trapster make up some glue that
the
looked like Peter's
Trapster.
webbing. Yeah.
That's another terrible thing because he's Paste Pot Pete. He's not the Trapster. Paste Pot Pete. That's the best
Yep.
name. Yeah.
Yeah.
So all right, yeah, we got to get him. We've never done a Paste Pot Pete story.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
maybe next week. We'll see.
Oh.
All right. So
But yeah, Norman kept rising through the ranks, even though he was discovered at a certain point as being the Green Goblin and went to prison. They then decided to put him in charge of the new Thunderbolts. They're like, "Oh, he's on medication now. He's totally fine.
yeah, he's
Totally
fine.
not the Green Goblin anymore."
Yeah.
And
He's
then he kind of became this big hero during the Secret Invasion. And then they decided, "Hey, since Shield's gone, we'll just put you in charge of all of national security. You can start your own agency and put you in charge." That sounds like a good idea.
sounds
This
like a
guy who was the
great
Green
idea.
Goblin.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. There's your
Yeah.
Norman Osborn Green Goblin.
They have done something recently which I really don't like. Um the most well he became the Red Goblin at a certain point where like Peter had cured him of his Green Goblinness and basically put some nanobites in his or nanotech in like his body. That like if you try to use the Goblin Serum again, it won't work. Like it's just not going to happen. So he was like, "I need something else." So he kind of stole the Carnage symbiote and was like, "I'm going to be the new Carnage, be the Red Goblin." Um, and so after that, he kind of like went even more crazy and thought he was Cletus Cassidy for a while. Uh, but then he got his memory back. And at that point, he was shot by the Sin Eater who was back from hell. And
Wow.
he had like a shotgun that would like cure you of all your sins. Like you would get shot with this gun, and all of a sudden your sins would be washed away, and you'd just be like a
Huh.
nice, cool, chill guy.
That's pretty nice.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that's not bad. But then like the next arc that started, or the next writer that started after that decided to have like now him and like Peter Parker are like best buddies. Like Norman Osborn's like creating gear for Peter Parker. I was like, what are we doing? Why would there's no way
Yeah.
you would ever trust this.
I don't know. Peter does seem kind of stupid sometimes. Um,
Yeah.
in this issue particularly, there are some things that were pretty dumb that he
Yeah,
did.
a little bit. He's
But
a little bullheaded sometimes.
All right, so that's the Green Goblin and Norman Osborn and his son Harry and their weird hair. So let's get into this issue. The cover here is John Romita Sr., Jank. Why don't you describe it for us?
Yeah, remember that iconic cover of Amazing Spider-Man number 39 where Green Goblin's flying and he's got Spider-Man towed behind him in a rope and his mask is off? That's a
Yeah.
good cover. This one, not so much.
What are you talking about? This is great. He's got him in a headlock. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, there's that aspect of it is fine. I don't know what's going on behind the like, but let's start
Yeah.
with we got the little corner box, just kind of Spider-Man standing there, uh, not even looking cool, just like I don't know,
Yeah.
I don't even
Like
care.
waiting for a bus. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we got the Amazing Spider-Man logo, the classic one. It's pretty good with all the spider webbing on top of it. Apparently, this takes place in that same solar radiation that Superman took place
That's
in
right.
last week because the got the yellow sky for some reason.
Bright yellow
Um,
sky.
and I don't know what's going on with this alleyway, but it's like a
Yeah.
geometric nightmare. There's like just very like the walls are all kind of bending in on each other like an MC Escher painting or something. I don't know who designed this, but it's
And there's a
very
door
strange.
on the right with a doorknob. And
Yeah.
I
But then
guess
there's like
weird.
these little tiny pieces of building that's like, why would you build it that small? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, okay, that's a fair point. Yeah, everything except for the figures is
Yeah. The figures themselves are pretty cool. Like, yeah, it's got the Green Goblin. He's kind of trying to fly straight up, but Spider-Man's got him in a headlock, and he's kind of holding on to one of the walls at a weird
yeah.
angle. Um, and it says Spidey fights the Goblin and lots more. Enough said.
No, I don't
I
think that
love
is
the enough
enough said.
says.
I think we need more said on the lots more. I think if you would have just said
Drugs.
Spidey
It's
fight,
just some drugs in big
yes,
letters.
drugs. But Spidey fights the Goblin, enough said. All right, but you can't just throw in lots more and then not explain it. What are we doing? I like the coloring
Yeah.
on the smoke of the exhaust of the Goblin
Yeah.
glider.
That is really cool.
Yeah, I don't know if that's added later on the print we're reading or the scan we're reading, or if that was actually the coloring back then. Seems weird.
Yeah, I don't know. It does look like it could have been at the time. Like it's
Yeah.
nothing too like
It kind of
3D
looks
or
like
something.
modern coloring though. But
Yeah, it's kind of dark.
all right,
I don't know.
so we open it up. The Amazing Spider-Man in the grip of the Goblin. Story by Stan Lee. Penciling here. Gil Kane is your artist. And oh, I do have some notes on that, I should say. So Stan Lee, he quit Spidey with issue 110 and became the publisher. So we're getting toward the end
Mm.
of his run here. He's got like 1 year
Yep.
left after this. Um, so, because I got to tell you, I wasn't impressed by the writing in this issue.
Yeah,
Kind
I
of felt like
can't
he's
say this was
phoning it in.
Stan's best work. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can see why he stepped away a little bit
Because
after
early
this.
Spider-Man, he was really good. Early Spider-Man is
Yeah.
very good. So Gil Kane, the artist here, he did issues 89 to 92. 96 to 105, 120 to 124, and that was from 1970 to 76. And then he came back for issue 150, and he also did annuals 10 and 24. So that's kind of
Oh.
weird. He was 45 years old here, and because I was thinking, because you like I noticed the points in this issue that I like Gil Kane. I was always a big Gil Kane guy, and he had a good run here on Spider-Man. Um,
Fair.
but I could notice like some line work where kind of because his style would evolve into the 80s. Like
Hmm.
trying to think, we did
I'm sure we did some of those. Yeah,
we did an
kind of.
Atom issue here with Mike L. I don't think you were here yet, but where his line work became very not intricate, but clean. And we did that Action Comics with the Forgotten Heroes. He did the cover for
Oh
that.
yeah.
Yeah, remember that?
Okay. Yep.
And
Sure do.
but his style kind of evolved, and you could see hints of it here in certain panels. So I was wondering, because I was confused on how old he was, but yeah, he's 45 at this time, so he had already had him.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
pretty much done baking at that point.
Yes. Yeah, but he still kept evolving, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
cool. I like when
all right.
they continue to evolve and not
E-
devolve like Frank Miller.
Except, yeah, I was going to say Frank Miller devolved. Yeah. So
Or John
anyway,
Byrne, like diminishing returns at a certain point.
all right. So we get a big splash page of the Goblin flying around on his Goblin glider, and he just whacked and ran into Spider-Man. You can tell by the exhaust that he smacked right into him.
Yeah.
We should also mention John Romita
I
is
love the
credited.
classic Green Goblin costume. It's so good.
Yeah, it pisses me off to this day that they never did it in the movies. They gave him that goofy looking outfit in the movies. Just
Yeah.
give him the old one.
Keep making it some weird military suit or something. Like, no, just make it a goofy guy in a goblin costume.
If you notice, John Romita is credited as artist emeritus. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
still doing stuff occasionally, and he inked some of the pages in this book, so he would always just help out. He was the art director at Marvel, and everyone, I don't know if he was still
Okay.
like
Yeah.
drawing, if he would come in and draw certain like Peter Parker faces or something too on occasion, or like if they
Yeah,
didn't,
I could kind of see that. There's definitely
yeah,
panels in here that look kind of
I think he was
John
doing stuff
Romita
like that. Like if
Sr.
they didn't quite capture it properly, he would come in as the guy to make it look right. But
Oh, that's the best kind of boss.
yeah, anyway.
You're doing it wrong. Get out of here.
So it's happening again. As we saw last ish, Norman Osborn, the wealthy chemical manufacturer who just gave Peter Parker a part-time job, has reverted back to his deadly demoniac identity, not demonic, demoniac identity, as the
Yeah.
Green Goblin. And as he and Spider-Man meet once more, it's the Goblin who lands the first blow. Thrill to all the action, drama, as I like to say, and suspense that made Spidey the world's most popular comic book character. And then Spider-Man's
Yeah.
thinking to himself, he's madder, more dangerous than ever. I can't let him escape no matter what. So it's a
But
pretty
what
good
does he
one.
do? He lets him escape.
Yeah. He hits him with the old, this is kind of an awkward panel here from Gil Kane on the next page. Spider-Man's neck. I don't know. He's like a,
Yeah. He really wants to see the Green Goblin's ass in that picture. He'll crane
Spider-Man.
his neck in any way he needs to see it.
Yeah, he kind of looks like a turtle, or I don't know. But he webs up the Goblin glider and yanks Goblin off it to the ground. I like the thwip. The thwip is always a classic Spider-Man sound effect.
Yeah.
Web, the whip, and then Green Goblin's there laughing at him, and he's got his little pumpkin bomb, and the Spider-Man's like, "Hey, you can't blow that up, or you get yourself too." It's a, and he's like, "Hey, it's not a grenade, there, dummy. It's a gas." And
Yeah.
he starts seeing
Vapor.
all kind of Green Goblins. And
Everyone's on drugs in this issue. Even
yeah,
Spider-Man here.
so he's all loopy. Yeah, again, a lot of yellow in the background. That was a interesting choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
He,
Must have been cheap back then.
yeah,
That was the color that was cheapest.
but he punches Spider-Man and decks him, and then he takes off. And then he says, "But this barren room, yeah, that it seems just all yellow, is cramping my style. So I'll wait for you outside. I'm sure you won't disappoint me." And but Spider-Man, he got cracked pretty good there by that right hook, and he's failing it. And
Yeah.
now this was a little weird. He's like, oh, he's the only one who knows my true identity. Maybe I can take him by surprise by coming at him from above along the wall. It's not really above. It's just
No.
coming
It's just
from
a
the
couple feet
side,
off the
probably.
ground.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just right there. Oh, but then the next
He's on a
panel, he
goblin glider. He's way above you.
yes, that's what I didn't understand. But then he gets a goblin boomerang right in the face, and
Yeah.
knocks
One
him
of his
loopy.
razor bats.
And so then but like the way Gil Kane's doing the exhaust, like that line work is kind of what he would be doing later, years
Okay.
later. Not so
See
much in
that.
that panel, but maybe in a letter, but you can see it a little bit there.
Yeah.
Um, so Spider-Man then chases him outside, and what happens outside there, Frank?
He is going to flip from under an awning. He's like, now I see a roof above. Goblin, listen to me. We have to talk. You're sick. I want to help you. And Green Goblin's like, all right,
Yeah,
here's a pumpkin bomb.
you gave me a part-time job. I want to help you. You didn't
Yeah.
give me full-time with benefits. You gave me part-time. That's okay. But I
I
still want to
want some
help you.
vacation time. This is how I ask for it.
Uh,
But he throws a pumpkin bomb at him. Peter like swings over on a flagpole, and he's jetting into me. Have to throw myself back fast. Why bother, Parker? You know you haven't a chance. Why does he always seem so confident? What does he know that I don't?
Yeah.
And
I
yeah,
I
he's
guess we should
webs.
mention for those who've never seen the Green Goblin, this is an audio podcast. I guess
Hmm.
we should say like his classic outfit, like green chainmail, scaly skin, and purple like boots and gloves and a little tunic and a purple
Yeah,
cap, a long tailed
yeah, like an
purple.
elf cap.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, he basically looks
he
like
would
an elf
fit
and
in. He would
and
fit
he
in
wears
with
a
those
mask.
elf orgies.
Yes, that's right, in ElfQuest. But he's got like big pointy ears on his mask and everything, and yeah, he looks like an elf, a
Yeah, big
demented
creepy
green elf.
smile.
Yeah,
So
it's
good.
great. And he rides around on his goblin glider. It's basically looks like a bat, and he's just standing on
Yeah,
it, and well, and he throws pumpkin bombs.
and he's got weird sparkle blasts, and he's got basically all kind of little tricks. Makes him kind of like the Joker, I guess, just always pulling little tricks out of his bag.
He's like a what are those stores? The Spirit Halloween stores. He basically just went in there
Yeah.
and said, "Give me one everything," and that's what he is.
Here you go, Spider-Man. Here's some candy. Ha, it tastes like farts.
So there you go.
I got you.
All right, so but he's throwing the pumpkin bombs that does Spider-Man, and then he uses his glider to cut Spidey's webbing, and Spidey's going to fall to his death, Jank. He's going to fall to his death.
Uh-oh.
There's no way he could save himself. He's falling to his death. But he saves himself. Yeah.
Yeah. This is one of the rare times he's not out of webbing, so it actually works and he can save himself.
Uh, and he's swinging around there. Yeah, just the writing here, like a lot of it's just in Peter's head as he's thinking, as all this is going on. But it's just not the best stuff that Stanley ever did. It's basically a lot of it is just him explaining what's happening in the panels, and
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of it's repetitive of just like, I gotta stop him. He knows my
yeah,
identity, which I kind of get because obviously he's freaked out. Like he's worried that, Norm's gonna expose him. So I get why your mind would kind of be on the same thing over and over again, but not the most exciting reading.
then Spider-Man gets around and he jumps on Green Goblin's shoulders while they're flying through Manhattan there. And he gets him in a leg lock around his head, and he's choking him
Yeah.
out with his powerful thighs, you know.
Old Thunder Thighs.
And he's like, "I'm not your enemy. I want to help you." And he's like, and Green Goblin's like, all right, loosen your grip." And again, this is one of the things where Peter's kind of a dummy. He does,
Yeah.
and then Green Goblin just shoots him in the face with one of his little sparkly sprays, sparkler spray out of his fingertip, right in the face.
Yeah.
And
He's like the original Jubilee. Little
yeah, that's right.
sparklers.
Yeah. And so Spider-Man's all loopy again, and he gets dizzy and he falls off. And thankfully, he catches a ledge of a building, and he flips up underneath it like an actual spider. And so that's pretty cool. And
Yeah.
Green Goblin thinks he fell to his death, and he doesn't
Yeah.
confirm this. Nothing. He just
No. He's unconcerned. He's just like, oh, I must have fallen to his death. I
yeah.
don't see anyone falling or any kind of body laying down there or a crowd gathering around or anything. I'll just
And
assume
even
he's dead.
yeah, he's got to be dead because even though like just 5 minutes ago I thought he was falling to his death and he just webbed something and he was fine. And
Yeah.
every time we've ever fought, he's always just webbed something or grabbed a flagpole and he's always fine. But this time he fell to his death. There's no doubt.
That
So,
sparkler blast was just too much for him.
so there he goes, and he's flying away now. And he says, "But now I'm free to follow my destiny. With Spider-Man beaten, the Goblin is supreme." And if he would have just turned around and looked back a little bit, there's Spider-Man clinging to the side of the building. And Spider-Man's like, he's too far away. Can't reach him with my webbing, and he's traveling too fast for me to catch him. So he's like, all right. And
Oh
then
well.
he does the
Might as
thing
well
you
give up.
always hate, Jank. He's out in public and he takes off his mask. He takes off his mask.
Well, at least I'll give it this is he's changing costumes here and he's in like an alleyway
Oh,
and his spider sense would tell him that no one is watching. So you got
he
that
takes,
going for him.
but it
It's
looks
not
like
like he's taking it off in front of a subway full of people
but it kind of
who
looks like he's
definitely are
hanging on,
seeing his
like
face.
he's not even in the alley. Like the one panel, he's clinging to the top of the building, and then the next panel, he's ripping his mask off. So I think he's doing it while he's still on top of the building there. But
Yeah.
and again, another
Yeah.
yellow background. Why are we doing the yellow background?
Even at night, yeah, everything's yellow.
What the
I
hell?
don't know.
So anyway, all right, yeah. So he's down there in the alley, and he changes clothes, and he's got his cool yellow jacket as well. And man, yeah, we'll get to his outfits a little later.
Yeah. Oh, it's about to take a step up.
but that panel in the bottom left before we get a collage of him because at this point Gwen Stacy is broken up with Peter because
Yes, she is in Europe after her dad died. She blames Spider-Man for his death. So she went off to Europe to kind of, grieve and find herself, I guess.
yeah, she doesn't know he's Spider-Man though, just in case people right, she has no
Yeah.
idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, her dad was like, wasn't he like a chief of police or something, or a police guy? Or
Yep. Yeah, he was Captain Stacy, Captain
oh
George
yeah,
Stacy.
Captain Stacy.
Yeah.
And like there was who was Spider-Man fighting at the time?
Dr. Octopus. They were fighting up on top of like a roof, and Dr. Octopus was flinging his tentacles around, and he
You
knocked,
said
big.
tentacles. He's
Yeah.
flinging his tentacles around. Just to
Maybe the other
clarify.
things as well. But yeah, he knocked a big chunk of the mortar off, and it fell down and was about to crush a kid. But Captain Stacy there jumped in and pushed the kid out of the way. But then he ended up taking this big rock, like fell on his head.
That's gotta hurt. So yeah, she blames Spider-Man though for because of the fighting in Doctor Octopus that led to her father dying. So
Yeah.
she wanted to go to Europe to for 5 years to plot like Norman Osborn. But
Thankfully, they did undo the retcon of this, where she was in Europe giving birth to
yeah,
twins that
no,
that were fathered by Norman Osborn.
yeah, that's terrible.
Thank God they wrote that back out
Uh,
of the story,
but if you
because
look
that
at the
just makes her the
panel,
worst.
yeah, if you look at the panel on the left though, next to the collage of all her faces, that looks like the cover of the time when he gave up being Spider-Man. Remember, he threw
Yeah.
the outfit in the garbage can. He's walking away. Yeah, very similar.
Yep.
All right,
I
so
do like that he's wearing like a collared shirt, and you can kind of very clearly
yeah,
see the Spider-Man suit under there because he's
yeah,
not buttoning all the
it's
buttons.
his underoos. He just got the
Yeah.
the underoos on, Spider-Man underoos. So, but then he goes home and like you mentioned, he's roommates with Harry Osborn, and wow, look at that hair on Harry, man, that's nuts.
God, it's glorious. I love it so much.
And Harry's sweating and he's not looking the best, and they're having a chat, and he's mad. Harry's mad at Peter because he's like, "Hey, quit flirting with Mary Jane, What the hell are you doing?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "I'm not doing anything. I
One's
have no
gone for two
interest.
seconds and you start flirting with my girl?
I have no interest in Mary Jane, And he's like, "Well, you better tell her that then."
Not yet.
Yeah. And so there was a really nice scene. I actually just today I was looking through the issue where Gwen Stacy died, or the next issue after that, and like
Yeah.
Mary Jane comes over to be with Peter because she's really torn up about it, and Peter yells at her, and he's like, "Oh, you're torn up, oh party girl, you're sad. I don't believe it," and because he's so sad, about Gwen, and he says, "Just get out of here, Mary Jane. You're gonna make a joke of everything." And he sits down, he starts crying into his hands, and the
Yeah.
bottom at the end of the final page, there's three panels there at the bottom, and he just tells Mary Jane to get out of there, and you see her
She's
reaching for
gonna.
the yeah, she's reaching for the door, she's going to get out of there, and then there's a close up on her face, and she's crying too, but then you see she closes the door, but she stayed in the room with Peter.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a nice little sequence that was.
Yep.
That was great.
I remember that one vividly. I haven't read
Yeah,
that one in a while, but I still remember it.
that was awesome.
Yep.
So anyway, Peter is getting mad at Harry, telling him, I have no interest in her, or whatever, and you're making a mountain out of a molehill here. And Harry's like, oh yeah, whatever, buddy. Who cares? I got pills.
I don't want to talk about it
Yeah,
anymore, even though I brought it up. But I just need something for my headache, and to make me sleep.
yeah.
And then he just starts taking handfuls of pills. He's like, "How many did you take?" Like, I don't know. Who counts?
And he's like, look, Harry, you're all worked up over nothing. If it's Mary Jane you're worried about, and he's like, worried, he's worried. Get lost, will you? And I need when I need a chaplain, I'll let you know. And then he just passes out on the bed, dead. He's sound asleep in a second. And they got little yellow like sparks around his head too to show you that he's hopped up on stuff. And
I think the Peter's like immediately like, "What makes Harry so weak? He's got everything going for him." Real compassionate there, Pete.
yeah, his own pad. Well, it's not his own pad because you're his roommate. A
Yeah.
car and a father who denies him nothing. A father. I almost forgot. I'm worried about Harry when the Goblin is still out there somewhere. All right, so now this is great. The next day, they're at the college campus, I guess, and
Yeah.
Harry's walking around. Now, Harry's wearing an orange like jacket and pants and a yellow turtleneck.
Yep.
So nothing could possibly beat that until you look and see Peter Parker. Would you like to just Peter? He's basically
Holy
Johnny
hell.
Bravo from the Brady Bunch when
He
Greg
really
Brady
is.
became Johnny Bravo. It's the
Yep.
same outfit.
Which makes sense since Christopher Daniel Barnes played him in that Brady Bunch movie and he was the voice of Peter Parker. Like it all makes a lot of sense.
Describe the outfit for the people, Jack.
Oh boy. So Peter Parker's got on a nice like wife beater, it looks like on the bottom layer. And then like a swinging 70s kind of flared out collared shirt that's like a fuchsia or purple with like pinstripes on it.
Yeah, pinstripes.
And he's wearing a nice swinging 70s medallion, much like we've been seeing a lot of lately. And it's not just one medallion; it's kind of got like a necklace thing going on too. And then he's almost full Mr. T type thing going on there. And then he's also wearing like a nice brown vest, like he's
Yeah.
Billy Jack or something like that. I don't know.
And of course, Mary Jane sees him, and she's like, "Hi, heroes," like that. And he's like, and Peter's like, "Hey, cheer up, Harry. It's Mary Jane. Here's your chance to patch things up." And he says, "Yeah, that depends on her." But Mary Jane comes over, and she's like, "Oh, hey, Harry, how's it going?" And she's like, "Hey, I dig those chains you're sporting, Petey. Where'd you find them?" And she's all over Petey because of his chains. And
He's like,
Petey
I got
says,
them from Gwen. Leave me
"Yeah,
alone.
Gwen, my girlfriend. Remember her? She's in Europe." So he's yelling, he's giving it to Mary Jane. He's like, "Hey, look, lady, you know how Harry feels about you. So what's the bit?" And she says, "It's a long story. Want to hear it?" And then we cut, and now here's your
We don't get
favorites.
to hear it, yeah.
Here's your the blonde-haired Geraldo Rivera. Now this is like drug dealers in 1971 were very different than drug dealers today.
Yeah.
Because back then they
Yeah.
dressed in suits with check shirts and bright red ties.
Yeah,
And
they dress like Elvis Costello, apparently.
and this guy looks like Geraldo Rivera, except with bright blonde hair and a
Yep.
black mustache. And
He's just waiting at this college, like, hey, you look sad. Buy some pills.
yeah, apparently I thought this was a guy Harry knew, but it seems like he doesn't know. Like it's just the first time he's ever met him. I don't know. It's like because it seems
That's a good
like
question. It seems like he's introducing himself, but they also seem somewhat familiar at the
yeah,
same
because he
time.
calls him Osborn. Like he goes right up to him,
Yeah.
and and like I said in Marvel fandom, he's not even given a name. He's just credited as Harry's dealer. So I don't know.
And it seems like this is the first time Harry's buying these pills from him, so maybe he's bought other things from him in the past.
Yeah, because at the end when he leaves, he says this is the first time. It's going to be the last time. So it
Yeah,
seems like
that's what they all say.
yeah. So this guy just hangs around college campuses in his suit, looking for guys to have arguments with their girlfriends, and then says, "Hey, I'm your fen fella. I've been in the same route myself, and I know how it feels, and I
He's a snake oil
know,
salesman, basically.
and I know what to do for it." So he walks him around a corner, and he says, "I've got something that'll make you forget all about that chick. Something that'll make you feel like you're king of the world. I hate to see a guy get put down that way. So I'm going to do you a real big favor, pal." And he's like looking around, but he reaches into his coat and he pulls out a bottle of pills. And he says, "This stuff is real new and it ain't easy to come by. But for a guy who can use them like you," and you want to be Harry?
Let me see. What are those things?
"Don't take my word for it, Osborne. Just try a few and nothing's going to bother you."
It'll be worth anything to get her out of my mind.
Yeah, he's thinking of Peter in his Johnny Bravo outfit and Mary Jane pining for him.
Clowns never laughed before.
And he's like, "Sure, kid, sure. I know how you feel. Everyone's got a million hang-ups nowadays. That's why this stuff I got is just what the doctor ordered. So how about it?"
Okay, okay.
And then we get a panel of him like sneakily handing him the bottle of pills. But
Yeah,
I don't see Nor
like
or Harry
backhanding it.
paying him anything, you know? Like Harry.
That's true. This the first taste is free, I guess. One of those situations. Get
And
him
he's like,
hooked.
"Nice doing business with you, Osborne. See you again."
Nice doing business where I forgot the business part. I was supposed to make money. Oh no, this is the first time and the last. I'm not getting hooked.
Yeah, that's what they all say. Yeah, that's right. Man, what a scene that is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now Peter in his Johnny Bravo outfit, he runs to an alley and he has to change clothes into his Spider-Man outfit because he's going to go look for Norman Osborn in his office. But he gets there and the office is empty. So he says, again, going back to Peter not being the brightest, he wants to, the whole point here is he
Yeah.
wants Norman Osborn to think he's dead.
Yep. Wants to keep that illusion going.
Yeah, because
So
Green
what does he do?
Goblin
Go to
thinks
his
not.
office and ask for him, and then tells the secretary totally unsuspiciously, "Hey, don't even bother telling Norman I was here looking for him." That's not weird.
Like, I don't know. This Peter Parker. Oh my goodness. So now we get Harry and Mary Jane, and he's going up to Mary Jane, and he's all confident now and chipper and peppy because he's on the drugs. And
Yeah.
he's like, sure, honey, I decided to forgive and forget. And she's like, you decided to forgive me? And so what did he do to like? I guess he's just been on the drugs, popping the pills, and it's been interfering with
Yeah,
him.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
She's kind of
And,
sick of his bullshit.
but Harry's like, that's right, it's a great day, and I feel zingy. When was the last
Now I
time
can
you
see why
felt?
she's not into you if you go around saying I feel zingy.
When was the last time you felt zingy, Jake?
Been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a minute. And he's like, and you're still my girl, right? And she's like, wrong, man. And yeah, Mary Jane, she comes off as she looks good here, but she says, you've always been good for a few laughs, Harry. But don't let it get to your head. I'm nobody's girl but my own, and that's the way I like it. See you around, Curly.
That's harsh.
That would drive me to drug use too. Holy hell, that's
Yeah,
terrible.
holy hell. Mary Jane is responsible for all of this.
He's been making fun of his horizontal cornrows.
His weird widow's peak cornrows.
What are we doing? So Harry's very sad, and he goes home and he sees Pete, and he's yelling at Pete again, and he's like, "Hey, get out of here! You know, you can't live here
Yeah.
anymore." You know,
You're on the curb, buddy. And Pete's
I
like, all
like
right, fine.
I like how Gil Kane has he drew the handbrake in the panel too, like a three
Yeah.
dimensional feel of him pointing at Peter.
Whoa.
And so Pete's like, "Fine, I'll leave, and if you think that's gonna make it better, there, Harry." And then Harry just breaks down, and starts crying. He's like, "Oh no, that's not gonna make it better. What am I doing? I won't get her back." And he's And Pete's like, maybe I should get a doctor for you there, Harry. And he's like, no, I don't need a doctor. I'm fine. I'm fine. Don't worry about it. I'm fine.
This is totally normal. This is how a normal person acts.
Then
But you should
Pete's
probably
like,
leave now so I can go take some more pills.
yeah, well, Pete's like, well, all right, well, I'll just let you have some time alone here then. And he's like, okay, yeah, you do that. And he's thinking he's leaving at last. Now, as soon as I hear the door close, fuck. Is what kind of song? Pthock, fuck. And he's like, that's it. He's gone. Now, where did I put that bottle? And he's popping more pills. Oh, this guy.
Yeah. Trying to read what it says in the pills, but it's all like blurred out.
Yeah. So now Pete, he's Spider-Man. He's swinging through the city looking for the Green Goblin, and yeah. At some point, he even says that wasn't smart of me to go to his office and talk to his secretary.
Yeah.
He even
That's the
says
one
that.
advantage I have is he thought I was dead, and I just kind of screwed that up.
It's like Stanley, what are
Oops.
we doing? What are we doing, Stanley? What are we doing? So,
Yep. I feel like he
uh,
could have just crawled around in the window, looked inside,
yeah,
see,
would have
hey,
been
Norman's
enough.
not there.
Yep, that's all you got to do. Uh, but I like Gil Kane. He does a lot of these collages, like a one single panel collage, and then we get another one of Harry's faces and all the pills. And again, a
Yeah.
yellow background now. What the hell
Yep, he
was
loves these yellow backgrounds, that's for sure.
that? Yeah, who colored this? I guess let me see who that was because I got an
They may
issue.
have also been on drugs.
Yeah, they don't list the color.
Oh,
I
they were
guess
too
no,
ashamed.
no
They're
one
like, I
wanted
don't
to
want
take
credit for
credit
this.
for it.
Yeah.
That's odd. Oh, so yeah, so he's
Yeah,
taking
we
the
could get that
pills.
shot of Harry and all the pills. He's like, I never felt this way before. It's like I'm drowning, falling,
I don't know.
dying inside. Nothing seems real. Nothing hangs together. The pills. It must be the pills. They're driving me out of my mind.
So That's how I feel when I drink Topo Chico sparkling water.
The flavor. It's
It
driving me
is.
mad.
It tastes like orange. All right, so he passes out in the bed there, and Pete finds him, and he's not doing good. This Harry, he's like, "Oh, Pete, help me, I'm sick." And he's like, "Sure, Harry, don't worry, pal, I'll call the doc." But then he reaches for the phone and he hears laughter. And he's like, "That laugh outside the window, it sounds like the Goblin." And yep, it's the Green
Uh-oh.
Goblin. And the Green Goblin says, "Did you think I wouldn't find you, Parker? Did you expect the Green Goblin to let Spider-Man live?" And that's how it ends. Next
Better hope his
issue.
neighbors aren't home and have their windows open.
Yes.
They're hearing all kinds of things right now.
Next issue, the Goblin's Power. Dun, dun,
Ooh.
dun. Do you know how this storyline ends? Because I did not look ahead.
Yeah, basically, I think it ends with he gets him in another leg lock around the neck type of deal, and he forces him to look at what Harry's in the hospital. Look at him, he
Oh,
might
okay.
die,
One of those
and that
deals, yeah.
kind of makes his mind break back into
Oh,
Amnesiaville.
how about that? So then how does he get bad again in time to kill Gwen Stacy?
Basically the same thing. It's like he's on drugs again, like he's relapsing, and the stress causes Norman to break again.
Oh,
It's
wow.
basically always the Harry drug thing. They keep going back to that.
Thought it was his hair. I can't get a comb through my hair. I gotta get out of here. All right, so there it is, Spider-Man 97. Yeah, Gil Kane's art here is fine. It's not his best work, but it's solid. And
Sure.
Stanley, the writing, again, like it's an important message for the time, but it really did feel like he's phoning in a lot of this stuff. I don't know. It wasn't the best.
Yeah. Yeah, this storyline probably didn't need to be 3 issues. Looking back on it, there's not necessarily enough story to fill that, but I like seeing the Green Goblin back, so if I was reading this at the time, I would have been like, all right, sweet, I'll take all the Green Goblin I can get.
I would have just cut the whole bit about Green Goblin thinking he's dead because he fell. I just have
Yeah,
the
and him
Green
going
Goblin.
to the secretary and asking
Yeah,
if
just have the
Norman was
Green
there.
Goblin just flying away because he wants to cause more trouble somewhere, and Pete
Yeah.
can't catch up to him. And yeah, cut out the bit about the secretary, and I
It is
don't
unclear what exactly Green Goblin plans on doing now that he's back. Like he's like, oh, now it's my time to shine. That Spider-Man's
know.
dead. Like, but what is he doing? He just shows up later to their apartment anyway. What was your
Yeah,
grand plan here?
I don't know. He's uh he's tricky, that Green Goblin. So yeah, it's not the best, but I guess for the significance, the cultural significance of it, we need to respect that, right? I mean,
Yeah, and the battle with the Green Goblin at the beginning was fun. Had a typical, your bag of tricks and just pulling out different things to
but
mess with
again,
Spider-Man. So that was fun.
he's so stupid, that Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So dumb. Maybe the drug dealing thing was fun. Um, and
Yeah.
Mary Jane just telling him, "See you later, Curly." That was pretty good. I'll go. I'll go 6 or 7
Yeah, that's about where I was leaning.
in
Yeah.
there. So I don't know. Sixes.
Yeah, I think 6 is all around.
All right.
Seems like the
So
way to go.
there you go. The
You got
amazing.
cool Johnny Bravo Peter Parker.
Yeah,
Like,
that
what
is
more do
true.
you want?
Yeah, we should probably bump it up to 7 for the Johnny Bravo. That was amazing. All
That
right.
outfit is amazing.
So there it is, Amazing Spider-Man issue 97. So all right, next week here on the big show, man, every week I struggle trying to pick an issue.
That's what I like to hear.
It's becoming a real problem. Like it's taking me like an hour to find an issue. Like it shouldn't be that
Holy
long.
hell.
So I like to try and tie stuff into what we did the week before. So you picked green because of the Green Goblin. I was like, oh, maybe I'll do something green related. So
Oh.
I was going to do a green a Green Lantern Green Arrow storyline, that an issue that I had as a kid. I
Ooh.
think issue like 110, and maybe we could still do it. It's up to you. Um,
Oh,
but
there's choices involved. Okay.
but we just did a Green Lantern not too long ago, with Guy
That's true
Gardner
with
on it.
Shark. Yeah.
So I don't know if you'd want to do another one of those. Then there was I will say, I don't know if this will sway you, but there is a Hostess ad in that issue.
Oh, that
Yeah.
is tempting. We need some candidates.
so then I considered doing issue 100 of Green Lantern Green Arrow because but it's a double-sized issue, and I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. So then, there was a Green Arrow limited series, four-issue limited series in 1983 that we've never done,
Oh.
and thought, oh, maybe I'll do that. But then, I also considered a Wonder Man one shot because we never, but that seems
Oh, okay.
terrible. It looks terrible though. Oh, it looks terrible.
I know they gave Wonder Man his own series later. I didn't know he had a one shot in like the
Yeah,
Bronze Age, but
1986. He had a one shot,
hmm.
and it doesn't look the best. So, um, so then I was like, you know what? Lately we haven't been getting a lot of views. It's been disheartening,
Oh,
even with
you gotta pull
Superman.
out the sweeps weeks
Yeah, we
picks.
don't get. Now, I think we just have to face the harsh reality. No one watches the show. I think that we just have to face
I think
that.
I faced that reality years ago. You've been
But
holding on to hope, but
but yeah, the numbers have been down recently. No matter, even though we're picking big books like Superman and Fantastic Four and everything. So there's always one solution that always gets us views.
uh-oh. Feet picks.
The Marvel New Universe.
Oh, I
Every
was gonna
time we
pick one
do
of
a New
these soon,
Universe
so
book,
all right.
we get issue. I don't know what it is. There's only like so many people in the world who like the New Universe, and they just search YouTube constantly for content about the New Universe. So right as of this moment, the book we're going to do next week, unless you object,
Oh,
Night Mask issue
oh,
7 from
I was
1987.
gonna pick it, Night Mask number 4 for my next
Oh,
issue, so
it was between 4 and 7. That 4 was because 4 has a nice cover, but the problem
yeah,
was
I
I
like
didn't
the
know if I
cover.
could make that into a thumbnail. The spacing of
Oh
it,
yeah,
yeah, it'd be
yeah.
tough to do that.
The two characters are not close enough together where
Yes, yeah, it'd make
yeah.
it really hard. So
All right.
I went with issue 7 specifically because it would make an easier thumbnail.
Nice. That's
So,
as good a reason as any.
so you were really going to pick Night Mask next?
Yeah.
That is
All right. I think
crazy.
I think the fates have aligned on this one.
So you're cool with doing, you don't mind me stealing your pick then and just doing Night
No,
Mask
go for
7?
it. Yeah,
All
let's
right.
do Night Mask.
Night Mask issue 7. Now, for those who've
Night
never heard of Night
Mask.
Mask, it's basically a guy who goes in people's dreams and tries to help them get over trauma. That's how I say trauma. Trauma? Is that how
Trama.
is that what it is, basically?
I think so. Yeah. Or
Yeah.
you're just the guy who lays over your eyes when you try to sleep to make it darker.
We'll find out next week, and we'll find out together. And I think issue 7, they had so many creators. Like every month they had a different creator team, I think. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah. I
Uh,
noticed that. Yeah.
but I think
So many writers.
I think issue 7, because I almost wanted to do issue 1 because the guy that drew issue 1 was the same guy that drew Dakota North. And I love Dakota North,
Oh,
but he
yeah.
only did the first issue. Um, I think his name was what, Tony Salmon, right? Something like that, I think.
It's a good
Uh,
name.
but anyway, Roy Thomas and his wife write issue 7, so it's two
Oh,
Thomases.
when Roy the boy isn't enough.
Yeah, we get two, and
Okay,
it's
maybe that'll be better. Maybe she'll even him out.
and the description is Night Mask has to go into the dreams of a delinquent. So I'm like, all right,
I
that
feel like
sounds
that's
pretty
every
good.
issue.
And then there's several sequences of people just working out in a gym, particularly ladies in skimpy exercise outfits, just lifting weights. So
All right.
this will be good.
Tell what I'm
So,
guessing Roy Thomas wrote that part. He was like, "We got
yes.
to put this in there." His wife's like, "Maybe not." He's like, "No, no, no, we do. Trust me, I've been in this game a
I'm
long
Roy
time."
Thomas. I'm Stanley's right-hand man from the 1970s. Listen to me. All right, so now, next week, Night Mask issue 7. Be here for that. That'll be swell. And until then, again, if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe because no one is. So we'd appreciate it if you did. That'd really
Yep.
be nice.
We will be extra grateful for anyone who does.
And until next week, don't get any jank on you.